Hello everyone and welcome to the World Cyber Games 2019 Grand Finals for Crossfire. It's day number 2, so we're just at the halfway stage of the group stages here. I am Lethal, I'm joined by ZZXQ. Carl, my man, how is things?
It's going great. I'm excited to hop into the competition here, see some of these amazing matches unfold. We're already a good portion of the way through the group stage and it's already showing up to be quite the event so far. Yeah, we've seen quite a few upsets. Some teams were quite surprised in terms of their win rate and how they're actually progressing in the tournament, but it's still early, it's still that halfway point, but it's going to be very interesting to see who actually qualifies for the semi-final places later on this evening. And our next game, the first one which is coming up, it's going to be Black Dragons versus Trust. Now, bit of a weird one. It's going to be a tall order for Black Dragons, but then again, sorry, tall order for Trust, but with Black Dragons, they need to win this to stay into the competition. Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, looking at a team like Black Dragons, everyone sort of had them as the team to beat going into this event. They were the reigning world champions at the end of last year, and right now, they're definitely struggling to say the least. The Chinese teams have been so dominant so far in this competition, and Black Dragons, they've got everything to prove now.
Yeah, I think that's one thing you pointed out before the broadcast as well, is the fact that the work ethic of these Chinese teams, especially with All Gamers and Super Valiant, they've been working very, very hard since the CFS in 2018, and now they're really showing that hard work has paid off.
It definitely has, and if you look on the other hand, the two finalists of CFS 2018, both struggling here. RU Legends 0-4 to start off their tournament life. Not looking too hot for them to make it into those semifinals.
Yeah, considering they were actually the finalists, actually kind of runner-up at the CFS, which is quite surprising there. But as you can see, this is the format for the group stages. It is going to be all 8 teams in the round robin in the format of a best of 1. First to 10, usual stuff, and 3 points to win, and you won't get anything if you lose. And then when you do qualify, you will get one of the top 4 spots to get to the semi-finals, and then some nice prize money coming up.
Definitely nice, but a little brutal to say the least, though. You have to make one of those top 3 spots in order to walk away with the prize, so everyone really vying for those spots in the semifinals here, and it's starting to get neck and neck for those last 2 or 3 spots to get in.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, we spoke about it before where it could be that 3rd or 4th place spot. You know, there's a couple of teams now where I would say almost a guarantee. It depends on the circumstances of their remaining games, but it's become very, very close. There's some teams we expected to do really well, and then all of a sudden it dropped off a little bit, and then it's vice versa. For example, like we said before about CFS in 2018, Black Dragons and RU Legends were the finalists. Now RU Legends are going 0-4, with Black Dragons going, I think, 2-2 right now.
Yeah, I think for RU Legends, there's almost no chance they're going to make it even to the semifinals at this point, but Black Dragons, this is a huge game for them to take a step in the right direction and maybe grab that 3rd or 4th seed going into the semifinals.
Now, going into this first match, we said it before, it's going to be Black Dragons versus Trust. Now, Trust are in the same predicament as RU Legends. I haven't had the best of starts. I don't think they'll be able to qualify at this point, but it's more for Black Dragons here, and we'll have to see what will happen going into the game very shortly to see if Black Dragon can take this to make sure they stay in the competition, or if Trust can get their first win on the board. As we go into the first match straight away.
Already it's going to be the first round on the board for Black Dragons, just cleanly wiping their way into the B-bomb site. And it looks like we may have a quick reset here, potentially. A couple disconnections on the side of Black Dragons, but clearly the start they were hoping for here, 1-0 to kick things off.
Yeah, you know, that first round, that was a very quick round to say the least, but you saw there Black Dragons won it more than anything, but we will go back into the game shortly once everyone has joined back. Now, for Trust, you know, we spoke about it before, they're a newly established team. We don't really know too much about them, and it's not too much of a surprise that they're going 0-4, because a lot of the top teams, or most of the teams here, have dominated them, but with Black Dragons, they can't underestimate these guys.
Definitely not, and with their tournament life potentially on the line here, they have to bring their A game and not underestimate any of their remaining opponents here if they really want to make it through to those semifinals and show that they are indeed still the best team around. So they definitely have a lot of pressure here in this match, but you know, on the other side of things for Trust, this is just a good chance for them to get that experience, go against these top tier international teams, and maybe come back in the future and show us that they've learned from these difficult matches they're really up against here.
Yeah, it's based on experience really at the end of the day. You know, I'm not too sure how much offline experience they've had, but especially against the top teams in a tournament environment, they can pick up a lot from what they've seen, do a lot of VOD research and go through what may have gone wrong or little things that may have gone right. But it's like I mentioned before, it's going to be a tall order throughout, I'll probably say in most of the teams, most of the matches they actually play against.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for Trust, they're going to just have to learn what they can from this experience. Maybe they'll get a one-off win here at the end. Black Dragon's a team that's looked a bit shaky, so there's still that potential there if they play their cards right in this matchup. But, I mean, Black Dragons, after being the world champions, this isn't where they want to go out. They're definitely going to bring their all in the remaining games they have left in the group stage here to try and make it through at the last minute. Yeah,
Black Dragons are known for being one of the most passionate teams throughout the whole course of Crossfire, but even with Trust, at this stage, even though they're probably knocked out already, they don't have anything to lose, and there's not the kind of team you want to go up against, no matter the skill.
Definitely not. Another thing to look at, too, in this group stage, the maps are predetermined, so, looking potentially ahead at that semifinal, it's going to be interesting to see how that translates into sort of a pick ban best of 3 compared to these already preset best of 1s, because you kind of just have to work with the map you're given here in the group stage and hope that you don't get a difficult matchup. But for the Chinese teams, they've shown even in those difficult matchups, they've come out on top. They've had a lot of close games, but at the end of the day, they still pull through, both undefeated so far.
Yeah, see, this is the weird one as well. Due to the fact there's no veto system, you can't really predict anything here. Now, the first map will be Black Widow, which is a very common map as well, of course, with Subbase and Mexico. They're the 3 go-to maps most of the time, but normally in the best of 3 and the best of 5, you may see Ankara and Port, which is, very standard. But because it's Black Widow, we know how good Black Dragons are on that map.
Yeah, definitely. This is a map where, especially looking them on the Blacklist side to start things off, they're an aggressive team. They like to be on the attack, so an early lead is definitely what I would expect out of these guys, potentially 3 or 4 rounds on the board before Trust can answer back. And looking at some of Trust's previous games as well, their defenses haven't been the greatest, so they definitely need to step things up and bring something new to the table in order to get this one.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is because Trust are starting on the defensive side, they can maybe try and get a few rounds on the board. But the thing is, though, if it's 6 or 7-0 and you've got Black Dragons on the attacking side, it's going to demoralize Trust so much more, because then they've got to do the exact same thing and replicate what they did. And let's be honest, that's not an easy feat.
Definitely not. And looking at the point of view of Trust, it's got to be a bit intimidating as well. Some of these guys, it's their first live event, and you're up against the reigning world champions. It's not a tall order to fill for Black Dragons to come in here, but it is indeed for Trust. They have a lot of pressure for themselves, especially for those guys who haven't got the experience just yet under their belt.
Yeah, see, that's one of the main things with Trust, is the fact that they've got nothing to lose. They qualified here, which is fair enough. They've done a good job doing that. But at the same time, because they've got no pressure, they should be feeling okay. I can understand there's some nerves on the board, but when it's your first event, there's a lot of little things you got to count upon. For example, maybe if they get 1 down and 2 down, and there's certain times they're trying to execute together, the coordination might not be on par. They might not be as aggressive as they should be. So I'm worried that if they get given on a plate the advantage, they may not take it as quickly as they should do.
Yeah, definitely not. And it's a situation, too, where Black Dragons, they're a team that does tend to get overconfident here and there, and it's cost them in the past on some maps. And so far in the group stage, it may have been the reason for their downfall in a few of their games, maybe coming in a little bit too overconfident as that number 1 team, sort of the target on their backs. But right now, the target's just to get through to the playoffs at this point and make that top 4 bracket stage for them. With only 1 win to start it off under their belt, they're going to have to close it very strong in the group stage. But I'm definitely interested to see what changes they may have made, looking at maybe their past mistakes in the opening rounds of the group stage.
Yeah, that's one of the main things with Trust. Is that they've got plenty of VODs to work upon and research to see exactly what went wrong, what they could have improved on. But still, they still got plenty of time to kind of mess things up in terms of ruining some of the team's chances to get here. You got to remember, if they do somehow actually beat Black Dragons, then that could be Black Dragons out of the competition completely. So to say that they managed to upset, you could say that, the CFS number 1 team at the time and still now, then that's still a big thing to say.
Definitely, this could be huge if somehow Trust is able to pull this one off. They basically open the opportunity for either Carbon or Golden 5 to find their way into that last remaining playoff spot. Both of those teams sitting at 2 wins right now. They could potentially swoop in and grab it here, but they still have to close their days strong out as well. So really still anything can happen in those last 2 opening spots to try and get into the top 4. The only teams really feeling too safe here are going to be AG and SV.
See, there's another thing as well outside the 2 teams we're talking about here. RU Legends 0 and 4. Now, I can pretty say for everyone, no one would have expected it. They're one of those teams where on the defensive side, their discipline in terms of holding the site and their quick rotations is on par. It's unbelievable. But there must have been some things that went wrong for that team, and I'll be kind of curious to know as to why.
Yeah, it just seems like they just didn't get the start they were hoping for. Obviously, coming in and having to play Chinese teams early on is something that nobody really wants to face, especially in a best of one where you don't get to choose the map yourself. It's predetermined for you. And a lot of their past strategies have been to sort of ban and pick around the maps they weren't comfortable on in best of 3 situations. But it looks like we are ready to go right back into the action here. Black Dragon 1-0 and already knocks in a brutal headshot to start things off, but it looks like they're going to answer back nicely. It's a 2-for-2 trade as now the control of the B bomb site is in the hands of Black Dragons.
Yeah, it's 3v3 so far. They've got most of the site covered, but they've got to be careful in case someone comes across that B window. But in the stead, Maz get taken down. So there's only 2 members of Black Dragons left here. And we have to see what they can do here. See if they actually do make the rotation or just sit back. So we've got Will here, Wayne in box room. Maz get one. He's going to try and get a second on the board, which he does. And now it's just a 1v1 scenario. We have to see what Will can do, see if he can do any more. He knows he's in that B window. Sadly does get taken down. And Trust must get 1 round on the board.
Definitely a great round from Trust there. A quick response on the rotation. Will, unfortunately, not able to close out that clutch for his team on Black Dragons, but still, Trust looking clean, starting things off with a tie 1-1. It looks like we're going to see a quick execution already to answer back. Black Dragons going for the A split. They're going to get caught off guard, but it doesn't matter. Nodson's there to save the day. ADRF picks up 1, and it's already down to a 3-on-4.
Yeah, it's looking like going to be a quick round, let's say release, as you mentioned before. So it's on that A window, but Daniel's going to get taken down. But Will managed to get the trade in, so important. But Jones is just hiding there, just hoping. Doesn't realise, but there's only 2 members of Black Dragons left, but also on the same for Trust. So it's very even in terms of the damage count and what they can do it. But ADRF knows he's there. He's just waiting for him. He's made that first move, but he managed to get 1. He is looking for that second. He knows Jones is there. It's just a matter of him waiting to peek out, but it's not going to be the case anyway, as he will get taken down. Black Dragons with the second round on the board here.
Definitely a great play from Black Dragons. They knew the last player was going to be in the A window, and instead of going for the risky peek, they wait for the pinch and they secure a nice round for themselves on the board. 2-1 now with a nice comfortable lead, and still it's going to be Trust looking for the response. Already B control going to come out. Black Dragons taking it fairly easily. It's only going to be a one-and-done situation so far. The rest of Trust trying to adapt and rotate here quickly, but it's Zeta all alone, left in the back of the B bomb site as Danimal picks up another flag.
Yeah, 4 members of Black Dragons rush straight through the box room without any worries there, but now they're just trying to stay alive as much as they can. Zata's trying to do what he can, but sadly wasn't the case, and we've got the last member of Trust. With Pjev's going to see what he can do, but in a 1v4, especially against Black Dragons, we'll have to see what he can do. He's got 35 seconds left on the clock.
He's not going to check the corner, though. Notson finds him, picks up a 3rd round for Black Dragons, and just like that, it's going to be a nice early momentum starting to spiral towards Black Dragons' favor here. Trust looking for the response quickly, or this could manage to go out of their hands fairly quickly here. Right now, though, it is going to be Black Dragons going for some nice picks in mid here to try and start off the round. The counter aggression, though, not going to pay off for Trust. 2 early picks going in Black Dragons' favor. Make it a 3rd as Vienna gets the trade onto Zeta in mid after taking down Will. It's going to be a 4-on-2 already, just 15 seconds into the round.
Yeah, Vienna and Wilmaz get some great frags on the board there. Drones is just trying to stay alive here, but again, it's another 1v4. There's not really too much you can do here. They know exactly where he is. Maz will take that 1 in the end. He's just trying to take a second, but he's just trying to be a little bit patient, maybe get the chance to reload if he can, which he doesn't, but managed to get 2 for himself. So he's only got 2 members left. The bomb is down, but he managed to get 3, so there's only 1 more left. This could be a clutch factor for Drones. He managed to take it on, but sadly it just wasn't to be. But that momentum shift, he managed to take him down there. Things could have been a little bit more different.
Yeah, Black Dragons playing a little bit too overconfident on that one. They all went for solo peaks on the last player, 1v1s. Just wasn't meant to be, though, at the end, as ADRF does close it out for Black Dragons. 4-1 now in the lead. ADRF, though, gets the collateral to start off the round. Pushing out of A long, Vienna gets the trade as well, and it's going to be a 2-on-4, but still the mid-punish does come through from Trust as they take down Danimal to make it a 2-on-3.
Vienna, that very quick A long push, now going to Ram. He's going to see what he can do, is see if he can take out any more and just watch the rotation, but they've got the site, so it's just a matter of time when they get the bomb planted, but he's going to see if anyone's A window, which there isn't yet. The rotation's just a little bit slow, but there's only Zata left in a 1v3. They managed to take down 1 anyway, so he's only got 2 members left. Notson is waiting for him to peek out from Cap, but they're doing it well here. They're looking for that Crossfire to see if they can actually pinch him in, but Vienna gets spotted, but again gets pushed back, and he's only got 20 seconds left remaining here, as Vienna is still going to look out for him. Taking a few shots, but sadly, Zata finally gets taken down, and already it's a very quick match here. 5-1 in favor of Black Dragons.
Definitely a scary start if you were Trust in this position. I mean, 5-1, Black Dragons already halfway to victory here on Black Widow. We'll see if they can close it out just as strong, but Trust, they need something big to happen here and now to try and slow down the momentum before it's out of control. Black Dragons, though, already going to be sending Will alone here to scout out towards the A-bomb site. He's going to find 2 players under catwalk, but he can't seem to find a single kill there. Goes down to Pierre. That's going to be a nice early pick going into the hands of Trust.
Yeah, 3 of them in mid right now to see if I can get any info, but Pierre was keeping a lookout, but does get taken down as Xi'an gets one of his own. So it's going to be 4v3 in favor of Trust now, 3v3 on that nice snipe from Danimals. But we're going to see what he can do here. Does get flashed away, but is going to get pulled back. Managed to take him down anyway. There's only XFP left standing here. There's not really too much he can do.
Tough situation, finds the opening here on the 1v3. Still, it is going to be ADRF and Knotson playing this one safe on the back of the A-bomb site. Still the bomb yet to be planted. XFP with a chance to maybe shut that down, but with only 21 HP, he has to be extremely cautious here. But it's going to be ADRF protecting the planter there, and it's another one on the board for Black Dragons. 6-1, looking pretty devastating so far for the side of Trust.
Yeah, Heracle's going 0-7, not the best of starts for him, and you know, hopefully it won't stay that way. And if you see Xi'an going 11-4, big stuff from him. But look, he's got 4 people playing on A site. They're expecting him to come through here, but Heracle's managed to get his first frag on the board, but didn't last too long as Will managed to get the trade on him. Knotson gets one for himself, but trade is going back and forth here, and there's only 2 members left standing here for Black Dragons as ADRF managed to try and get one on A-long to ramp. He has done, but that's a 2v2 situation.
Vienna trying to sneak his way now onto the back of the A-bomb site. Drones going to be caught off guard by ADRF, and now it's a 2v1 situation. 2 snipers versus the rifle of Zeta here for the round. Black Dragons, though, feeling very confident on this Blacklist side. Why not just get the quick scope in A window to finish it off? It's going to be 7-1. Black Dragons already 3 rounds away from victory.
You might as well do it in style, you know, at this point it's just one of those things, but we'll have to see if Vienna can get a cheeky mid-snipe. But now, Heracles, not the best of starts like I mentioned before, but managed to get that first frag on the board, so he's going to deal with his confidence a little bit better, but he managed to get a second one until he gets traded by Knotson now.
Definitely an interesting start from Black Dragons. Almost a no-respect play, starting with 4 snipers on the field here on their Blacklist side to rush in with Will. Finds a pick. Knotson takes down another. It's already on Pierre. A 1v4. Not a likely situation to go his way. Even with 2 players' backs turned, he can't seem to find the second there. Unfortunate half to go down, but at the end of the day, it's going to be 8-1 in favor of Black Dragons at the end of the first half.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I'm not going to lie. When they jumped off from Cat, I was like, maybe should turn around. But yeah, you saw that was a dominating start. We expected this. We know Trust are a newly formed team, a newly established team here at the World Cyber Games. But Black Dragons, they've got a big reputation here for being one of the best teams in Crossfire. And I think with that scoreline, not too much of a surprise, but I expected at least 2 rounds considering their half.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at Black Dragons in their position here now, too, this is a great game for them to get that momentum back and potentially claw their way towards those semifinals. I mean, looking at the schedule they have after this game, it's not going to get any easier from here. This is their chance to sort of reset, feel that strength that they've had in the past once again, and really show a strong footing moving forward here. But still, Trust, they've got some time to potentially rebound, but it's not looking too likely at this point. I mean, an 8-1 half, they'd have to have almost a flawless Blacklist side to close this one out.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. It was some interesting strategies as well, but even with Black Dragons, very, very aggressive first few rounds. And one thing I did like was the fact that when you had 4 members actually going through that box room very quickly, they tried to get the 5th member at the same time going A-long to try and cause that distraction, which he did enough, so they're completely caught off guarded. But we are going to start this second half here, and we can see if Trust can make some kind of comeback, or Black Dragons will take the final 2 rounds.
Black Dragons continuing the motto of having so many snipers on the field. All 5 players going to be sniping to start off the second half. It's going to be ADRF finally finding one. A nice punish, though, to start off the round. It's going to be 3 kills going in favor of Trust. And it's already down to a 2-on-4. Will very low on HP as well. Not looking so good for Black Dragons in the opening round here of the second half. But ADRF still manages to find himself another. It's going to be a 2-on-3. Will still on low HP, but now some potential as Trust takes the execution over towards A.
Will does have the AWM, so he's got a little bit better for himself, at least that way. As long as he hits his shots, he'll be fine. AWF managed to get 1. He's trying to get that last one on Cat, but it doesn't matter anyway, as Will gives him that hand. and Maz get the second to last round, potentially the last round in this game.
Definitely around Trust. Shouldn't have been able to lose there. It was a 2-on-5 situation for Black Dragons, but still, you can see the confidence here from all of these guys on Black Dragons. They're ready to close this one out. It's going to be Will, who starts it off nicely, taking down Zeta. It's already a 5-on-4 situation. Can't seem to follow it up, though, just yet. Pierre gets 2 in mid. Danimal's trying to sneak up the catwalk and potentially find the trade out here, but Pierre still hunting for players. Trying to find the third, gets the kill onto Danimals, and now we'll see if this time around Trust can close it out with the numbers advantage. Yeah,
they definitely have the numbers indeed. 2v4. This is their time to get that round back on the board. Hopefully it won't be the same as last time, as you mentioned before, with that 2v5. But ADOF knows where they are. They know where they're spotting. And they are going to get that bomb down. Heracles took a little bit of damage there, but managed to stay away. But they're in a perfect opportunity to get another round back. But as I said at Xi'an, managed to get one perfect trade there, as you saw there from Pierre. But it's only ADOF left standing. Does get taken down by drones. And that's a round on the board for Trust. But the thing is, they've got to get 8 on the bounce. Sorry, 7.
Now we do see the switch up finally coming through. It's going to be ADRF picking up the AK to try and get this one taken care of and done. Will still going to be watching the B cross here. He's going to find one to start it off. XFP just not ready to react here in that situation. It's already going to be a 5-on-4. Vienna makes it a 5-on-3. Black Dragons looking confident to start this one off and potentially close it out here.
Yeah, they could. Only 3 members left standing, like you said before. And so far, it's just getting worse and worse. Dallas managed to get another one. But it is 4v2. Heracles need to really try and do something here at that barricade. But as you can see, Black Dragon's been a little bit more patient than usual. And it's only Heracles, the last man, to try and do something here. Managed to get one on Will. But will he get more? At this stage, Black Dragon's just been super aggressive, but maybe too aggressive here. It's only ADRF and Danimals left standing. But as you saw there, ADRF managed to get that final frag on the board. And a comfortable victory. Very comfortable, I'd say, for Black Dragons.
Yeah, they definitely have to feel good after that one. They were just getting really confident towards the end, just having a little bit of fun with that one. It's going to be a 10-2 victory for them to move forward with and potentially get themselves in a nice position to move on to those playoffs. But still, a couple hard matches on the way to get that done. A big task at hand. They still have to face off one of the remaining Chinese opponents they have, but a great way to keep that momentum going for themselves now.
Yeah, because you saw before, they actually Trust only got one of those rounds because Black Dragon was just being a little bit too aggressive. Well, he didn't actually get the round, but they almost lost a 1v4 scenario, and that would have been, well, let's not going to lie, it would have been very tilting to say the least. But I don't think Black Dragons would ever been tilted enough. Like when you get like 7 or 8 rounds, especially on the attacking half, it kind of spells trouble, really.
It really does, and just looking at the way they were playing, I mean, they were just throwing out as many snipers as they could manage, not really taking the last half too seriously. They knew they had it in the bag. Maybe a few too many risks there, but they still were able to close it out pretty confidently with a 10-2. So, I mean, in their position, looking forward, they're just going to be focused on their next game now and really looking forward to potentially making that 4th spot theirs to move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, we will keep you guys updated with the results later on to see if Black Dragons do manage to qualify later on as well as the other teams. But with Trust now, you know, they're going 0-5. I think it's literally got to a point now. They are definitely out, but it's depends on whether they can cause any trouble for the other teams. But after what we just saw just then, I don't think they will.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, they just didn't have the rotations they needed to, and it felt like even when they had the numbers on a site to potentially hold it, they just let it slip. They weren't hitting the reaction shots they needed to or the entries they needed to make that happen. So unfortunately for them, they're going to fall here, but at least they definitely have a lot of good demos to look at moving forward, a lot to learn from a lot of these teams here for them.
Yeah, there's a massive difference between, like, not just online experience, but a massive difference between social LAN experience and tournament experience. Tournament experience is so important. It's completely different. And like you mentioned before, a few of these players have not actually been to an offline event before, so it's experience of that, you know, either being on a stage or maybe just being in the environment in itself, in the atmosphere. It's very different. But at least for these guys, like you mentioned before, they can take about their research, their VODs, work on exactly what needs to be done and fixed and changed. But with Black Dragons in their future, it's not looking too bad. But the problem is, I feel like we have to win the remaining matches to actually manage to qualify.
Yeah, and that's really the tough task for a lot of these teams. There's a lot of teams around that 2 or 3 win mark, and they all are looking for that perfect way to close it out. But we are going to take a quick break here, guys. We'll be back with yet another match here in the Crossfire group stages. Don't go anywhere.